Hello, and welcome to the Investing from the 920 podcast starring Josh Allen. Today we are going to cover the T-Mobile Sprint merger. This podcast will be different from the rest because I'm going to be covering the merger of two companies. So in this podcast, I will be covering the background information on the new company, the story of how the merger came to be, what the direct outcome of the merger is, and what the merger holds in store for the future. So to start, T-Mobile's company statement is T-Mobile US Inc. engages in the provision of wireless communications services under the T-Mobile and Metro PCS brands. It offers post-paid and prepaid wireless voice, messaging, and data services, and wholesale wireless services. The company was founded in 1994 and is headquartered in Bellevue, Washington. Moving on to how the merger came to be. In an article from CNBC in May 12th titled Sprint Bankruptcy Risks Are Rising from Bernstein, it talks about how Bernstein Research downgraded the company Sprint and their stock to underperform. This is never good news for a company and shows that the company should be doing better than it actually is. The T-Mobile company wanted to gain market share and bring the major cell carriers from 4 to 3. And according to bizjournals.com, a business journal out of Kansas, said that the first rumors of the merger started in 2016 and the talks started, quote, on May 23, 2017, the leaders of Sprint, T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, and SoftBank held to hammer out a deal. And specifically at the time, Sprint stock was valued at 8.18 shares for every share of T-Mobile stock, end quote. Sprint then ended up backing down from the original merger and was meeting with many different companies and some other investors, but none of which were specifically named. Those companies were actually rumored to be Charter Communications Inc. and Comcast Corporation. The other investors that were rumored to be in on the merger or new investors was Warren Buffett and John Malone. For those of you who don't know, Warren Buffett is quite honestly one of the greatest investors of all time. He has grown his stock portfolio to be one of the wealthiest people in the world. There were also talks of SoftBank, the company that was helping out with the merger of T-Mobile and Sprint, was actually interested in taking over or buying out a cable company. So they were considering buying Sprint or just straight up taking them over so they could own some market share in that new market. Moving on to the direct outcome of the merger that was finalized by a vote from both of the company boards, they both voted in favor of the merger. At the end of April 2020, Sprint shares were worth only 9.75 shares for one T-Mobile share. This means that the Sprint investors would only have a 33% stake in the new T-Mobile company versus a 67% stake of the original T-Mobile investors that invested in the T-Mobile company. The total value of the merger was placed at $26 billion, one of the largest ever. Moving on to what this merger holds in store for the future. This merger was seen as legal in the eyes of the SEC, which means that it wasn't a monopoly being created, could now provide precedent for future large merging acquisitions. What that means is more and more cable and wireless companies are looking to become one company. Some examples of this are Spectrum, which I personally have at my house with my family, and AT&T, which runs a cable and cellular service. For those of you who don't know what precedent means, it means that it provides a base in the legal world for other judges to base their decisions on in the future. So with that precedent, the other future mergers will have this on their side. With the judge approving the merger, other judges will be able to use this landmark case. And from using that landmark case, more and more larger companies will be able to potentially merge or be bought out to gain more and more market share. The cellular networking companies are almost creating not a monopoly, because a monopoly is one single player that gouges the prices, but a oligopoly, which is a certain sector only has a few big players which are able to collectively raise the prices of their goods, therefore making the competition very slim. So companies that you will likely see other companies being acquired by based off of this merger is Amazon, Louis Vuitton, and potentially Alphabet Inc. Going back to the Amazon company acquisitions, Amazon was in talks of acquiring JCPenney last week after JCPenney announced it was filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy. When people generally hear the word bankruptcy, they assume that the company is going completely out of business, closing up shop, and completely ending all business as that company knows. But that is not true. There are various types of bankruptcies that companies can declare. JCPenney declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which means the company is reorganizing their assets and not completely closing up shop. Chapter 7 bankruptcy does mean that it is the end of the company, where they liquidate all their assets and close up every store. There have also been rumors of a Louis Vuitton acquisition or takeover of Canada Goose. These rumors have been circling both of these companies for a little over a year, but there have not been any signs of confirmation from these rumors. Alphabet Inc., otherwise known as Google, is constantly absorbing companies that will help them across their technology business. What you may not know is that Alphabet Inc. owns YouTube, Waze, Nest, and many others. I personally believe that Alphabet Inc. and Amazon are going to be able to acquire and merge with more and more companies just solely based off of this single ruling of the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. Next week, I will be covering the company Yum Brands, which is the parent company for many different fast food restaurant chains, including Taco Bell and KFC. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos like this.